Hi, this is Rob O'Byrne, founder of Supply Chain Leaders Academy and Supply Chain Leaders Boardroom, which is our senior executive program. With me today I've got Simon Bowen, who's partnering with us on that program. Why is Simon partnering with us? Well, Simon has decades of experience in coaching senior executives, particularly CEOs of major corporations, and you bring all of that experience to bear with the supply chain experience that we have, and it's proving to be a pretty powerful sort of mixture. One of the things that we were just talking about, Simon, is the ability for senior executives to be able to step back, take a little bit of space to do some critical thinking. I find that a real challenge in my own organisation. There's always 100 things to do. I virtually have to sort of go into the middle of a desert and where I get no phone contact to achieve that. Just tell us a little bit about that and why you think that's so critical.
Well, the thrust and parry of the day-to-day is very seductive. It's urgent, it's very immediate, and it's easy to think that there's a lot being done, but you're down deep into the content of the doing. And we all know that one of the critical roles for senior leaders is to maintain relevance of their organisation to the external environment. Species only become extinct when they fail to adapt.
Yeah.
So why don't species see the need to adapt? It's because they're inside it, and it's just occurring gradually and incrementally. But if that species could step away and look at the bigger picture, they immediately see they're losing relevance to the environment. That is true for organisations as well. So one of the challenges is for very senior leaders to meet that responsibility to maintain the relevance of their organisation by finding the space and time to step away, and I mean physically away, to allow the opportunity for critical thinking, detached, almost unemotionally involved thinking, and the freedom to think. One of the real challenges for a lot of senior leaders is that the actual workspace, the office, doesn't encourage it, may not even allow the freedom for creative thought. Imagine what would happen if you're
some of the open plan offices.
Imagine you're the CEO, and you have a policy of having your office door open, and you're sitting at your desk like this because you're actually thinking creatively about a significant relevance issue, and over the space of an hour while you're thinking like this, staff walk backwards and forwards in front of your door. Their assumption will be
he's not doing
anything.
He's daydreaming.
So there's not the freedom to think creatively in the workspace.
That's right. I've tried all sorts of things over the years. I'll go on holidays, but that doesn't work because I sit on the beach, thinking about work. The only thing in my life that has ever worked was I went walking across Spain for 40 days, and I think it was only the distraction of not having my phone and the pain in my feet that made me think about other things. But I suppose the more routine way that I try to achieve that is to join sort of coaching and mentoring programs, and I probably spend about 10 days a year going to some quite obscure sort of business mentoring programs, and I find that gives me the space and inspiration, and I'm mixing with other business leaders who are doing very different things, and I find that really creative.
Well, it ticks a few boxes. You've physically locked in for a time, and there's other people that you've committed to that you're going to be there. And there's nothing like the power of group accountability. If you don't show up, some people, where were you? We missed you at the last one. Yeah. So you've ticked the time commitment thing. You've ticked the physical space box. You've moved away from your work environment into physical space, but you've also still ticked the discipline box. So one of the things that when you did the long walk, was it on the El Camino? You still had a daily discipline.
Oh yeah.
So when we want to step back and think creatively, or step back and think contextually, you actually still need some discipline. Otherwise, you do drift off. And something like the Supply Chain Leaders Boardroom still provides that business discipline of business thinkers thinking about business and challenging the business questions, but in a safe environment that's out of the physical work environment at a committed time. And then, of course, there's the fourth advantage of a whole lot of different thinkers in the room who are not emotionally attached to the thing that you're trying to figure out, and so they will bring that critical thinking, some clarifying for you, but in an entirely safe sort of space, because they're not looking at you staring into space going, well, what's he actually doing?
Do you know, some of the biggest breakthroughs I've had in my own businesses are exactly that. You know, I've been at a coaching program or something and talking to someone who manages a totally unrelated business, and they've said to me, you know, you're doing what? Why are you doing that? And it really made me sort of question it. Or it'll just be some simple idea over a coffee, and they say, have you thought about this? I did it, and it really worked. And wow, you know, and it's made a huge difference. So I think you're right. It's getting away from the physical environment. It's mixing with people that you wouldn't normally mix with, who are going to have totally different ideas, challenge your ideas. So maybe for, you know, supply chain executives, senior people in supply chain, that's kind of one of the major benefits, isn't it, from supply chain leaders boardroom?
Absolutely, and you know, it's really important to be in an environment where you're not the smartest person in the room on your thing.
Absolutely.
But it's also important to be in an environment where the gap between the brightest people in the room and the people in the room that are needing the most help is not so large that the needs here are consumed by the overwhelming need. So, you know, that's one of the reasons that I think the Supply Chain Leaders Boardroom makes so much sense. It's for a specific level of leadership dealing with the kinds of problems that level of leadership is dealing with. The conversation
we were having over lunch with another business leader who had a particular issue, I think illustrated that perfectly. The conversation could have gone on for 3 hours, but it only needed 10 minutes because, got it, you know.
Correct.
We're all on the same wavelength.
Yeah, you know.
Tried this? Yep.
They've all tried the same things that didn't work.
That's right.
And they've also had similar successes.
Just wanted reassurance. You think this or this? Yeah, that.
And they're all dealing with the same pressures, you know. It's really easy for staff to say, well, you know, the boss is disconnected from what we do down here. You know, I've been a senior executive in a very large Australian company, $1 billion business in one.
Just one division.
Just one division. There was 5 of them, and if I said the name, everyone would know what it is. But you know, it's really easy for people to say, well, they're not connected. They don't know what we're doing on the ground. They're not on the front line. But in the same way, you know, walk in those shoes for a little while. The stakes are higher, the decisions are bigger, the impact on people is much bigger. Most senior leaders that I've ever met are very good people. And these decisions weigh heavily on them because they're going to impact people, impact shareholders, they're going to be challenging to implement.
People's jobs, their safety.
Most of them are very good people who get that. And there's limited opportunity to discuss those things that weigh heavily. And, you know, so anyone that has not walked in that space can't understand it.
It can be very lonely.
Yeah, it is a very lonely place, you know.
So if you're feeling a little bit lonely and you're a very senior executive in supply chain, maybe you should come and join us at Supply Chain Leaders Boardroom. We'll put some details below.